Hey, seems like some of us have just cut some ties, but before doing so, before letting that door shut behind us, we have taken steps led by spirit, perhaps for most of us, not really knowing what was going to come out of our mouths, so to speak, like having the receipts coming to the point of laying them on the table and being led by spirit to speak to them, to the people that were representing some type of opposition or doubt about your process, and these people trying to have rallied some type of support for themselves and smear campaign against yourself. And there's like this way that you have been able to handle this that you didn't even see coming. And it was like you didn't know why you were compelled to handle it in a specific way. But now that it's gone down, you're able to sort of start to see what the implications of handling it in that manner have been for you. And for some of us, it's created a level of ego humiliation that we may not have engaged in this action that spirit guided us to take if we knew that humiliation was going to be the outcome for our so-called frenemies, enemies. We would have gone the quote higher route in the earthly plane of just walking away and letting them be themselves. But spirit has chosen specific ones of us to act in a different way, faced with this level of spiritual insult. For those of us dedicated and committed and disciplined in our spiritual practice, trying to do so much for so many, to have individuals claiming to be in alignment with spirit and claiming that those that actually are not, it creates some level of exponential spiritual like smack talk. And I feel like spirit has used certain ones of us to create this humiliating circumstance. And it doesn't even come because in the traditional manner of telling somebody that they are something. It's not about name calling, it's about calling people out. And so if any of the flying monkeys had been corralled by this other hater energy to come against you, if they were convinced to come against you and to speak bad, especially to your face, you were able to speak to them from a place of character. What you stand for is unquestionable. And when you call those people to speak to exactly what their problem is, all of a sudden the stories start getting a little faulty and the narrative starts to crumble right around their ears. And they start feeling publicly humiliated because their narrative has no foundation. It has nothing to stand on. So you may have been pushing someone or some group of people to acknowledge what has just gone down, despite the fact that others are trying to change the storyline after it has happened. You are calling facts out. And as these individuals are forced to acknowledge that they do understand your character, they do understand, acknowledge, and have extreme gratitude for your contributions, all of a sudden it places those of weaker mindset into the position of having to question the narrative that they accepted so willingly. You probably sat next to these people day after day, maybe in your workplace, maybe in your family, growing up with people, friends that you thought had your back, and then having to push them to acknowledge this is making them stand very humiliated in front of a group of individuals that they were trying to tell how to think and what to think about you. So you pushed them to acknowledge your character and what they thought about your long-standing character, which made them question the narrative that they were ready to embrace. And you questioned the seed at the center of their heart space that allowed them to foster and cultivate the seeds of dissent and disrespect against you and who you are and what you were doing there. And so as you also pressed the individual that was trying to run this smear campaign to actually define the issues that they had, there was nothing left. There was nothing to stand on. And you called it out and called it out. And even though things began to shift and be turned around and stories began to merge and twist around, I think that even though the individuals are sitting there in the moment seeming to still cling to what they were telling or what they were standing for in that moment, I think that it's undeniable that they have to look at these other long-standing facts and the character of yourself and the character of the other individual, and are having to sit with why they chose to support someone that was saying things leading them to conclusions and assumptions that they never would have reached on their own with the facts. If they had contemplated the facts, somebody led them to believe a certain thing and they willingly embraced it. No one made them believe that. They chose from the essence of their heart to believe something that was untrue. And now, as everyone is facing up, being accountable to their own energy, they will begin to hold this main individual accountable because they don't want to feel ashamed and humiliated with that other individual. And so you're asking somebody to answer to some type of behavior that has left you out in the cold. And in so doing, you didn't ask for anything. You did not demand for your name to be cleared. All you asked for was for people to look in the damn mirror, and they had to, because that's what you demanded with just this graceful confrontation that you would have never chosen if Spirit had told you what you were doing. But Spirit uses us to speak to the highest in other individuals. So good for you. I think that this is a very humbling experience for many individuals at this time, and for ourselves as well. Humbling in the fact that even though we were trying and putting so much energy into this endeavor, it ultimately comes back that we need to be more focused on the road ahead and less focused on what other individuals want us to look at. So where are you going to go from here? I believe that this whole situation has been orchestrated by Spirit because we have been discounting our energies, playing small so that we could serve other individuals as they reach for greatness, meanwhile sidelining our own endeavors and our own greatness and our own self-development for their benefit, and then they throw us under the bus. And so Spirit had to show us that when we leave and abandon our own energies and our own greatness, when we abandon ourselves, everyone else is going to abandon us as well. And this is the turning point, the destiny moment, the choice point where we actually acknowledge that we were always too good for this noise. And it's time to redirect all of our potency, all of our magical capacity to putting that creative focus towards something that is actually building on that greatness. And it's not just our greatness, it's the greatness of all that is. And being in alignment with that, that's how we choose our destiny, and our destiny chooses us in return. It's no longer going to be about these people that were able to gain their flying monkeys and enablers. The tower is crumbling with the current eclipse cycle, and the fallout is going to be magnificent because we're going to stand back and be able to watch as everything falls into place, and there are going to be so many individuals that will be following us as our character stands for itself, and their loyalty is coming to the forefront. So people are choosing, and we're being asked to prepare and to stay true and steady because we're on track. Everything might seem like it's falling apart, but we are on track for our destiny. We had to be redirected from something that was exploiting our energy, ways that we were giving up and abandoning ourselves so that we could take that energy and be something powerful to assist other individuals to be more powerful in their life, to be more at cause in their lives. So if you are on board with that, if you are making this transition yourself, hold the line, hold your faith, and act with the utmost grace and integrity in all of your dealings, because it is definitely not a time to F around and find out like these other individuals are doing. We do not want to ruin everything by reducing our character to their level, because then the smear campaign can easily look as though we just fulfilled their prophecy. So don't let them put you into the position. Nobody puts this mystic in a box. So take good care of yourselves, and check back soon for other messages. Hit up some of those buttons and keep yourself all blessed up and prayed up, because this is your time to shine, and it's your time to break ranks with something that was an insult. So take care.